With over 20 years in providing quality service, Apex Radiology is Jamaica's premier diagnostic facility. Our services include CT scans, nuclear medicine, ultrasounds, x-rays, and more. We have 3 easily accessible locations in the Kingston area and 1 in Ocho-Rios. With our mission to provide exceptional and affordable healthcare, Apex Radiology is a clear choice for your diagnostic needs.
Good morning. It is my pleasure to be here once more with the IPCL team, that's Image Plus Consultants Limited, also known as APX, with ticker IPCL on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Today, we will be discussing the Q3 2025 financial year results for the entity, and we're excited as always to hear what the updates are. We have with us CEO Mrs. Keisha Anderson, who will be joining me on the platform. Now, please make her feel welcome as she comes to give her updates.
Hi, Renee. Good
Welcome,
morning
Keisha.
to you, and good morning to everyone on the platform joining us. Would you like me to
Good
open in prayer?
morning. Yes, please do go ahead and open in prayer, and then you can go right into your presentation.
All right, let us pray. Father God, we give thanks for today. We thank you, dear Lord, for the gift of a new year with new opportunities and possibilities. We thank you, dear Lord, now for all who are on the platform watching and those who will watch later. We thank you, dear Lord, for the fact that we get to invest and make the most of our money through the stock exchange. We thank you, dear Lord, now for every team member and stakeholder in Apex Radiology, Image Plus Consultants Limited, and I ask, dear Lord, that you go before and help me to provide clarity and direction to our shareholders. All these gifts, we pray and thank you in your precious name. Amen. All right, so Happy New Year. It is the first time that I'm on the platform, although I feel like I was just here. I think it's the quickest time flies when you have to go from quarter to quarter to report. But I'm pleased to share the Q3 results for Image Plus Consultants Limited on behalf of all our team and board members. All right, so if you could start for me, Renee.
You can go ahead with your CEO remarks, Keisha. That's all.
No, okay. Okay, well, I actually was just going to go straight into it and talk a little bit more at the end today.
No problem. We have that for you.
Great, thank you. So if you look at our quarter, you see that the result is not as it was last quarter, which I'm sure our shareholders are happy to hear. At the bottom line, we reported for the quarter net profit of 26.2 million, which even though it is down compared year over year by 58%, it's actually showing a positive direction when compared to where we were at the end of the last quarter. This quarterly performance brings our year-to-date profit to 41.6 million, which is also down year over year by 75%. The good news as it relates to the results would be that our revenue, even though down, it is not as significant as we would have seen in quarter 2. So our third quarter revenues are 296.8 million, which is down 5.9%, and it brings our 9-month revenue to 547.8 million, which is down 1.7%. Interestingly, as you will see, our gross profits the gross profit margin has actually improved. So we really recognize that the challenge we have now is that additional costs from acquiring our new pieces of equipment, the impact of depreciation, as well as our loan costs are what are really impacting below in the operating expense line, that and our cost of salaries and our utilities. So we're very clear on what the issues are that continue to ensure that our profits are not the year as they were in the year in the year past. What drives our revenue, we know, is scan count. So if you go to our scan count slide for me, please, Renee. I think the big takeaway here is looking at it, we said our CT numbers were down. I remember our CT is the modality on which we earn the greatest profit margin, and our CT was down significantly in Q2, if you remember, And so that will continue to impact our year-to-date numbers in Q3. However, if we look further at some other modalities, you may notice that our X-ray numbers are down, which really is more, it's not, X-rays are not something that you really kind of plan for. It's not something that people have to make an appointment for. They just come in. And we notice that the X-ray numbers are down, but that one is not so much of a concern to us based on the lower profit margin on X-rays. On this slide, though, you will notice our mammograms are growing as we would want them to, in keeping with it being a new modality, and MRIs we didn't have at this time last year, so it's actually bringing a new revenue stream. So the good news is that by diversifying our modalities, even though CT was down, we get to compensate from some of the reduction. From our big picture perspective, though, we would not have anticipated the CT being down, and therefore that is what has caused our year-over-year numbers to reflect as they do now. What do we do to fix it? It is to continue to grow the scan count and ensure that we pick up for future. But what it does mean is that for the remainder of this financial year, it's highly unlikely that we will close the gap that we that resulted from the Q2 CT numbers being down for this year, but we can show how we're doing the growth trajectory for the coming year. And if we go to the other slide, we will see the lead indicators to watch, the mammo and the MRI numbers and where they are now. I'll come back to this. I'm sorry, Renee, I'm carrying you all over the place with the slides today. So sorry about that. But I wanted to just really complete the conversation around the scan count and to know this slide, which is showing where our mammo and MRI numbers are going, which actually now make up 9% of our overall scan count. So I think it's important to highlight this as the way forward, because the current results in Q3 and year to date would be impacted by the CT, and that's not going to change. So what our shareholders would want to look at is, assuming now that we correct that with all the CT units that we want to be functional, up and running, what is happening now with the new modalities that we've invested in that have caused us to incur expenses, which are impacting our operating expense and therefore our net profit line. So if we look at this, we can see the direction and where we're going with mammo and MRI. So if we say for mammo, we did 2,618 scans since the machines were implemented. And for MRI, we did 817 scans in the 7 months since implementation. And we see that they're contributing 22 and 43 million in revenue, respectively. So at 9% of scan count, we want to continue to see them grow. And like CT, MRI is a modality in which you earn a greater profit margin. So this is also something that we really want to watch how it's growing for the future. Thanks for accommodating me, Renee. So if you go back now, I'll take you through the other slides that we had skipped over. Go back one more, I think. So no, you are correct. I'm sorry, Renee. Right? Okay. So if we see this, it's kind of what I alluded to as it relates to our gross profit margin. We see that it actually is improving, though slightly, over the last 5 years. And if you look at our admin expense ratio, you see the admin expense ratio had dipped, but then it increased again towards the last 2 financial years, well, 2024 and the financial year 2025 thus far. And that, as I said, would be because of the increased cost to do with staff costs as we ramped up our number of team members in preparing for the volumes for the modality. So even though, for example, if you have 9 or MRIs in a day, or you have 12 MRIs in a day, we still need to have 2 MRI techs, so you actually have more capacity that's being utilized until you reach a scan number that you want. And our utility costs would have gone up based on the costs associated with our MRI operations. In orange, you have the operating profit margin, and you can see where the peak was in 2023 and has come down as we're not yet fully maximizing the expense by driving the revenues to a point where it's absorbing the new costs. And then finally, the net profit margin, which is going hand in tandem with the operating expense margin. So it really is very clear what we need to do, and it's very clear to us what we need to do. And you can see that because we had the recovery in Q3 and we see the steady growth of the MRI and mammo numbers, you can look to the future and know that we will return to the levels of which our shareholders are accustomed to seeing us deliver at. Go again for me, please. Thank you. I think it's basically telling the same story here, nothing new to really add. I think I would only point out that we ramped up, as you can see, the total staff complement for the financial year 2024. So you see, we would have gone to from 78 to 84, and we've kept that 84 number into this year because we believe that we have now all the right numbers and persons where they need to be. It's just now for us to maximize the full potential of the capacity that we have. All right, so what you want to watch as a shareholder outside of our mammo and our MRI numbers, you want to look at our growth in scan count by source, and I'm sure this would have been topical in the last quarter or towards the end of the last calendar year, which would have been the first month of our fourth quarter, in that we would have seen would have been articles about the fact that the Ministry of Health, through their extended healthcare service delivery program, 1 minute while ring. Oh, sorry about that. So sorry about that. So sorry. All right, as I was saying, you would have seen circulating that the Ministry of Health, the Regional Health Authority, SERA, had put out something to indicate that they were not going to be doing any referrals to private partners that they had engaged through the program, and that would have caused some kind of questioning and query. So the truth is that did not impact us in Q3, and it will have some impact in Q4 in terms of the referrals coming from the hospitals that are being paid for by the Ministry of Health. What we are seeing, though, is that persons who are coming, since the ministry is not paying for those programs, for those scans in these months, we see those persons actually opting to get support to pay for it themselves, or those who actually have insurance also paying for it. But it has impacted the numbers, and so it is something to watch for the new year to see what it will mean overall. I am not unduly concerned about the long-term aspects. I did a interview up to yesterday about the fact that the government is procuring MRI and CT units for some of their larger hospitals. I think the procurement bid that they put out was for 6 MRI units and 10 CT units. My viewpoint is, and as a board, we haven't had a full discussion in terms of strategic implications of it, but based on our discussion, it will impact to some extent what is paid for by the government. However, if we think about it, demand will still be there. So it will mean that persons who used to benefit from getting the services for free will have to find alternate ways to actually pay for the services, because demand is not actually going to leave the system. I mean, people still need to do diagnostic image scanning because they need to find out what kind of course of treatment their doctors would need to find out for them. So we believe in the short term, we will see some impact to the numbers, but as the thing regularizes in terms of just shifting where the payment source comes from, we anticipate that it will settle out. In addition, we also know that the public system will have downtime in their machines from time to time. And so private partnership will still be required, but I'm sure that is something to watch, and our shareholders want to know that we're keeping abreast of. What we would have to also do then as a private provider is ensure that we replenish any fall off in those numbers with private patient referrals. So that is something to watch. And the management of our cash flows is also something to watch, which we had indicated in the director's statement that accompanied our Q3 numbers, that we actually decided to sell some of our receivables. So you will see on our balance sheet a figure of 75.8 million reflected as a recourse liability, because we sold a block of the MOH receivables to give us some cash flow space based on still the delay in payments from the Ministry of Health. Can go ahead for me, Renee. All right, so what is the outlook for the remainder of the year and going forward. I would have spoken about inorganic growth opportunities, and though we're not yet ready to make a disclosure, I can say that we are far advanced in doing the work around that, and we believe if by our AGM we should have something to say about where we are with that. We're doing all the due diligence that we need to do and are far advanced discussions with at least two potential entities. In addition, we're looking at our 33 LMR joint venture, and again, we expect our agreement to be signed in the next week or two, and thereafter we'll make the necessary disclosures to the regulators, and we will also share with the wider public what our plans are. So it's a very exciting year with a lot of things happening for us. We believe that change is on the horizon, but it is positive change on the horizon. We actually are keeping our strategic different opportunities in play to ensure that we're poised for sustainable long-term growth, and that our shareholders will see an attractive return on their investment. So new year, new opportunities, new possibilities, a lot being considered, and we are working to make Image Plus Consultants Limited, Apex Radiologies, the best choice in the local market. So thank you so much, and I'm very happy to answer any questions now. Not hearing Renee.
I am here. Thank you so much for that.
I was hoping it wasn't a delay in the internet on our side like last quarter.
And there were a few glitches, but we're good. I think we heard everything in the presentation. I was just wondering if you had wanted to go through the activities for the quarter to share that with the shareholders as well.
Sure, I can.
All right.
All right. So really in the quarter, which was September to November, we participated in a lot of activities that allowed for team engagement, but also were outreach activities and helped to build brand presence. So there were the pink runs, because we know October was Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and they occurred both in Ocho Rios and in Kingston. Interestingly, Ocho Rios, since that's where we have our second largest location. So the team participated. It also helped to raise brand presence, because we were able to give out and engage with some persons who were still not 100% aware that we offered mammograms. So it was a really great opportunity for achieving both. In addition, we continue to present at medical conferences and to sponsor health fairs. So we tend to do things that are associated, as our shareholders, and you would know by now, with our brand, that have an element of corporate social responsibility, or are something that our shareholders or our directors is close to their hearts, you know. So we do actually have from time to time shareholders that pass on activities and recommendations for things that we must participate in, and we do. So if you're listening and you are such a shareholder, you're aware of outreach activities, please feel free to pass them on to us. In addition, we decided that we're going to, mark the fact that some of our patients were doing mammograms with us for the first time, and so we gave out tokens. It's not a betting, gaming and lotteries authorized activity, because we weren't doing anything like that, but they're able to dip and pick for a token just to mark the occasion. It's interesting how we as adults are like children sometimes. We like to get gifts too, and so that was a fun activity in our branches. And we participated in the delivery of certificates for giving away free breast cancer screening mammograms in the month of October as well. All right, so I really finished now. Take two. This time for true.
Yes, this time for real. We are at the Q&A. So thank you again so much, Keisha. I think it's always good to hear from the leadership of the companies what exactly is behind the numbers. So as always, you did a great job of explaining that. I know that there are a few concerns that were raised in the chat. So I'm going to allow you to address them. And
sure.
We will begin with Limitless, Limitless podcast, always on the ball, right? So the first question is, would IPCL consider a secondary offering given the increase in the junior market equity raise limit?
Okay, so I think the increase in the limit is a positive thing. And what I would say is that, remember, when we are looking at the inorganic opportunities, we would have to be looking at options such as that to actually be able to acquire other entities, etc. Also, looking at our 33 LMR build out, remember, because we're going to be implementing some additional redundancies and we want to bring the MRI modality to that location, we would actually need a good amount of capital to fund it. And so that opportunity would be a good solution. So definitely it's something that we'll be looking at along with other capital raising activities, and we would definitely be engaging our shareholders before proceeding, and we would want to choose the best option based on what it is that we are actually going to be doing with the funds that we're raising. But yes, everything is on the table until we make a final decision.
Okay, and their next question is there any updated timeline on the new location? And I know you would have addressed that about the signing and being able to update later after the signing.
Right. I'm yeah, yes. And we're hoping to actually do that signing as soon as today, It's just that it didn't get done yesterday, so I could tell you all about it today because I wanted to be able to tell you about it today. But you know how lawyers are, dot every I and cross every T. But but what I would say is that the land is being cleared. So if you drive past the 33 Lady Musgrave, we'll see that. And the applications are in progress. And we are still aiming by our partners' response. So we are partnering with a contractor, and I'll give more details on that when we do the disclosure. And the aim is still for the end of year. So I guess I would say to Limitless, the worst case is that it will be early in 2026, but we're still aiming for December. I guess you can call that youthful exuberance on my part, right?
Okay, yeah, that is a lofty goal, but it's not impossible. So we look forward to the updates on that. Thank you. And it is a good thing that lawyers are crossing the T's and dotting the I's, because we would not want any, glitches on that side. So thank you for that.
Yeah, man. First, to make sure your due diligence is the right partner, and then you have to ensure that you have the right agreement so that everybody is protected and win-win can be achieved,
Absolutely. And I do know that in Q2 you had hoped to come back to the next earnings call with the ability to say who the joint venture is with. So we do look forward to that announcement when it comes. Or next,
I keep forgetting that in Jamaica at Christmas, every touchdown in a car, we get into merriment. Right?
That too. Our next question is from Carrie. And it says, in your Q2 report, you noted that MRI and mammography for the Ocherius location performed below expectation. Is that the same for Q3?
Okay, so I think in Q2, the earning call, I had explained that I guess we were, coming up the learning curve in terms of actually delivering the service. It wasn't an impact of demand. So no, it is. MRI is definitely in keeping with our expectation now, because we addressed everything that we needed to do just in terms of how we do booking, getting the time on the patient has on the bed to be more efficient, and then the room turnover to be more efficient. For mammo, I think I'd explained in Q2, and the situation is still that to some extent, that mammos are really seasonal. So now in Q3, having Breast Cancer Awareness Month, etc., we would have met the goals that we had for the quarter. The challenge now is for Q4 to ensure that we can keep mammo numbers being consistent. I think we did a lot of activity around raising the awareness of our offer, and we're doing activities, outreach and marketing activities around helping ladies to understand that we don't have to wait until breast Cancer Awareness Month through our screening. That actually we do screening every single month. If you have not done screening before and you are in the age group that requires screening, you know, a lot of it has to do with having people recognize that the actual scan is not as uncomfortable as they think, and the fear associated with the pain, etc., and stuff, and just educating and engaging so that they can actually get their screening done in a timely manner. So Q3 was okay for both. The plan now is to maintain it for mammo. MRI continues to be in keeping with our expectations. Thank you for the question and allowing me to explain.
Yes. So I'll just tag on to that one. You would have mentioned the situation that was addressed about the government now acquiring some equipment, and you
they're putting out a tender, but they haven't gotten it yet.
Right. So you as a company, you're looking to your private patient referrals to fill that gap as it comes, right? So
yes,
when it comes to mammals, I see a similar situation where, as you said, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, there's this uptake. A lot of people come in. Q4, not so much. So filling that gap. So the question really is around getting the mammals done. Does it have to come through a doctor? Like you go to a doctor, get a slip, come to Apex, or can someone walk through the doors of Apex and say, "Hey, I'd like to get a mammo today"?
Okay, thank you so much for asking. But that is a good point to clarify. And then I want to go back to say something about something you said as well as it relates to Q4 numbers. All right, so for ladies, once you are over 40, which is the age group that it's recommended you start scanning, you actually can just walk in to have your scan done. You don't have to have a referral to have it done. If you're younger than 40, it's not recommended that you have a mammo, unless it is that there are some either underlying conditions or you have a family history. And still in that case, our radiologists would want to ensure that doctor send you to actually do the mammo. So it's really depending on whether you fall in the particular age group or under any particular category when screening would be necessary earlier. Only if you're below 40 do you need to get a referral slip to come and do your mammo. Once you're over 40, you can walk in to get it done, and you walk equipped to your next OB/GYN visit to say, here is the actual results of my mammo. It saves them from sending you back to going and doing it, you know. So that's a good point to clarify. You know, interesting enough, we find a lot of people below 30, they say, oh no, we want to do our mammo. You have to explain that process to them. Sometimes those of us over 40 are a little bit more reluctant. What I want to say about Q4 is that for us, we actually have good Q4 mammo numbers. We had last year, we have again this year, because we have entities from overseas that have pre-purchased mammos that they're actually giving to Jamaican ladies who can't afford, and we have that going for January and February. So it is really about smoothing out the other months, like the months that are in Q1 and Q2, because we do find that Q3 and Q4 for mammo are good months, are good quarters, sorry.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that clarification. I mean,
sure.
I know that in my circles, my age group now, we're almost there, almost at the 40. And we're like, you know, do we start kind of thing?
So I need to tell your age group that whenever you start, it's not as painful. The technology has changed and people don't, you know, it's not like what people imagine. And it's actually a pretty quick process. So maybe what we need to encourage is persons who are at 40 now having our first mammo together out in our party.
Yes,
your generation is very
day,
social, like to do things. Yeah, why not?
Okay, so Carrie had another question. Why are there no referral forms for MRI for the Ocherius branch?
What do you mean no referral forms? If there's a location that you are working at, like a hospital or a private doctor's office, let us know, our health center, if you don't actually have our referral pads, because it's the same referral pad that we use. We just adjusted our pad. So it's possible that maybe we have in the system, persons had referral pads that weren't finished, and so they don't have MRI added to it. But at the bottom of every referral pad, it has a pad for the doctor to write. So even if it doesn't have MRI as a box to tick because it's an older referral pad, then they can feel free to write it. But our marketing team is listening. So if you put in the chat which location, we'll ensure we circle back. Because they went ahead and they distributed new referral pads when we launched these 2 new modalities. But it's possible that an office is still using an older referral pad. Don't let that stop you though. Write it in the notes. So let us know.
Okay. So Limitless again asks, can you give an update on your current interventional radiology offerings and the planned ones? This would have come up in our Q2 call. And Keisha, you had mentioned that you would check on it and get back. So I think they're keeping you accountable to that.
Oh, yes, and I forgot. But if you give me 1 minute, the marketing people listening here will just remind me. So, currently we do biopsies, we do breast, we do thyroid, we do, I believe, lung biopsies, we do port catheter placements. So we do the biopsies, port catheter placements, liver biopsies as well. And if you just give me 1 second, they're trying to tell me, so I have to look away from the camera.
Okay,
right. So yeah, I can give you the full
got
list. I don't want to make a promise and I forget to do it, and I don't want to have to
There
come
we
back
go.
next time. All right. So we do lymph node biopsies, breast aspirations, axilla biopsies, liver biopsy, lung biopsy, PICC line insertions, PICC line insertions, port catheter insertion, port catheter removals, steroid injections, pelvis biopsy, bone biopsy, nephrostomy tube placement, fine needle aspiration cytology, which is FNAC, permanent catheter placement, and temporary catheter placement. And I think I also said the breast biopsy earlier. So that's the full list of what we currently offer now, even though I said I'm writing something else. So if you hold on 1 more second. And we do, what is this now? Thoracentesis drainage. Yes, I hope I said that right and I didn't butcher the medical phrase. So what I will do now, though, is that I will ensure the social media post today lists all of the things that we do. So I'll ask them to do that as we speak so that they can see it later. But I just read the full list that they gave me.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And they were also
Did I
asking
answer his full question? He wants to know what we do now, and he's asking what we're going to add. Because I think the add part I wouldn't be in a position to say yet. But that's all that I said a while ago is what we do now.
Okay, thank you for that. And we look out for that post, right? Right, marketing?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, marketing. They're smiling and nodding. You can't see them.
All right. And they're also asking, how are you planning to reduce machine downtime? This was a big thing that was addressed in Q2 because of the 129 Pro decision that was made, etc. But yes. Is there any change or update in terms of the reduction of machine downtime?
We're still trying to work through the tube solution. Remember, we had spoken about that being the biggest thing. We haven't gotten anywhere yet, but we're a little bit more informed about knowing and seeing when a tube needs to be replaced. But we haven't gotten to the whole conversation now with the suppliers around warranty periods, etc. Because remember, I was explaining the last time that once it ships out of factory, it actually is on warranty and it won't warranty expire before you're ready to use the tube. So that part we haven't made progress yet on. I think as a general practice, though, as we have to deal with downtime for different types of machines, we're getting, I guess, quick at making a decision about whether or not it's something to be fixed or if it's something to be replaced. So, for example, right now we are completing our business case to acquire a new nuclear medicine machine because the one that we currently have, we're not able to do some things anymore. And it is not only a needed service, but also one that can add significantly to our bottom line. So we're actually doing our business case to do an acquisition of that and see that in place for the first quarter of the new financial year.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Mm-hmm. Now, JLP for Jamaica is back. Mm-hmm. And
no, you have to say its name because remember the last time we knew who it was. He's just using the never change his profile.
Yes. Well, he has done it as JLP for Jamaica once more. So
Okay,
we
no
are
problem.
sticking with that.
Okay,
So there was a statement made first, right?
sure. Mm-hmm.
And he says the stock price is down 25% with low liquidity. Shareholders
Mm-hmm.
are basically trapped and will have to play the wait and see game. Now, I have some thoughts, but I'm going to allow you to address this, Keisha.
Well, I would say the first thing is that unique to IPCL, or is that the market condition as we speak now? When you look at what's happening in the market generally, I would ask that question. The second thing that I would say is that I guess, is it that the shareholder would like to sell some shares and it's not finding an opportunity for anybody to buy? I'm not sure if that's what they mean by low liquidity from their perspective. But I do anticipate that market conditions are going to improve this year, generally for the stock exchange. I know there's a conference going on now, and I'm sure a lot of what is said is going to be exciting to shareholders. The wait and see game, I do believe that the stock has good long-term value. I know that our shareholders would be saying, boy, well, we haven't gotten dividends for a little while, but we are actually ensuring that we're investing for future dividends that will put our shareholders in a better position, and for the overall share price to be at the real value it should be at. I really believe now the stock is undervalued, but I'm not giving financial advice in this capacity. So I will leave that to the people who do that and who analyze stocks. So I guess in the conditions that are described, it is potentially a wait and see, because you don't want to also sell your stock for a price way below what it is valued, So the best thing probably to get some financial advice on that. But I think generally the market conditions will improve in 2025.
Thank you for that, Keisha. I'll just add too that I think, to be fair to the IPCL team, it was very clearly laid out what the plans were going forward. And so
Oh.
the expectation, the expectation in terms of where funds would be spent and where the focus would be in terms of building out the new location, that would also have an implication on how much movement there is with the stock. So I don't necessarily see it as a trapping, but I do
It depends.
think
I guess you want to use your money. I guess
right.
it's a personal thing, depending on how you feel about wanting to use your money. Yeah.
True. But I do think that, as you mentioned, there is that long-term planning, that strategy that will take the company and shareholders beyond just what the immediate satisfaction may be, right? So you may not see
Yeah.
a movement right now, but in the long term, you'll benefit greatly.
And I guess, the Q2 results would have frightened everybody, I think, to be fair, So I guess it is actually now seen that it's just a blip in the thing and not, the Q2 results could have been scary. And the fact that I think the other entity that's listed would have been impacted by, in our field, being impacted by machine downtime and stuff. So I can understand the short-term jitters, I do understand.
Yes. So in response, he says he has to beat his company this time around, but we will see what the future brings, right? Ashton.
No problem. It keeps us on our toes. And guess what happened? You know what? If you're going to take roses, you have to take beating to know some thorns sometimes. So that's okay. That's all right.
That's right. It's constructive. It's fine. Ashton asked, how will the expected growth in operation costs be managed? And I take it this is from the new location.
I was distracted.
Ashton was asking, how will the expected growth in operation or operating costs be managed? And I take it that this is from the new location.
From the new location to come?
I
That's what
suspect
you think? Okay.
that's what is being
All right.
asked.
So what I would say about no, I didn't hear what you said, Renee. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm saying I suspect that he's asking about the new location, the one that is to come.
Okay, okay, all right. Okay, all right. So if we look at what the growth areas are, as I had alluded to earlier, the growth areas would have been in our expenses as we would have built out manpower to deliver the new modalities. Our growth area would be in our utility costs associated with the new modalities. So the plan is it's not, you can't, Jamaican people say you can't cut off your nose to spite your face. So it's not a matter of simply just not spending that, because we wouldn't reduce either of those two to deliver the new modalities. What we have to do is to drive the revenues that we're utilizing the capacity that we have as a result of the new modalities. And so that's how we're working on it. If you look at our other expense line items, line by line, we do not have significant movement in any of them. In fact, some of them we have cost savings or spend increase that is less than inflation. So the thing is really to look at the line items. It's our loan expense costs, depreciation associated with the new machines, our staff costs for the new staff associated. We move from the 78 persons to the 84 persons. And that is really what is driving the growth in operating expenses. So we are doing our best to grow the revenue so that we utilize the capacity, grow our scan counts so we utilize the capacity. As it relates to the new location, our intention is not to have to spend anything for the actual physical build out of the location, but we will have to, as the question was asked earlier, utilize some kind of capital raising activity to actually outfit if we want to put in some redundancies to reduce the impact of downtime. So if we're going to put in MRI in Kingston, we would require capital. If we're going to be putting in another CT room, we would require capital. So we don't intend to really grow or balloon our expenses. Remember, we're moving the operations from 3A Winchester, so there's a cost to operate this new location. So we're moving those costs from 3 Winchester to 33 Lady Musgrave. So I hope I've answered the question to get a better sense of how we are approaching it and what they can anticipate in terms of our admin expense growth.
Okay. So in addition to that, how has the team been managing with the extended hours? Because last call you would have shared about the 129 Pro location being closed and extending the hours or having more days for the other team. So how has that impacted the team and the numbers and the company overall?
Oh, okay. Yeah, man, sure. So what we do is that our teams operate on shifts because we're open for way more than an 8-hour period, sorry. So having the staffing from 129 Pro at Winchester to facilitate the extended hours and opening when we need to on a Sunday means that we have enough manpower to be able to adjust the shifts to accommodate. So our team members are managing. I think we have happy team members, we don't have any loss of staff, and we have very high retention rates. Anybody that leaves us actually leaves us if they leave in Jamaica. They don't leave us to go to competition.
And commendations to IPCL on that, because that is not an easy feat and you continue to do it. So I'm happy to hear that the 129 Pro team is now subsumed and everybody is working together. Again, as usual, we had a recent experience there and we were well taken care of. So thank you and the team once more.
Yeah, sure. I would say that from time to time we open the 129 Pro location if we're going to do some particular biopsies there. And so at that time, then the team is just No? You hear me, Renee?
Yes, you're back.
No?
You're back.
Okay. Yes, you went black. My screen went black for a second there. So I said, yes, from time to time we open 129 Pro to do some biopsies, and then the team is moved there for that occasion. So yes, everybody, the entire team, we have a team that's committed and they are aware of the strategy, the mission, and the focus, and they're very proud to be able to deliver healthcare with compassion and excellence. I would say that for me at least last week, Friday, but I think we're going to do something on social media about that, in that a baby was delivered in our offices at Winchester last week, Friday.
Wow.
I know.
Interesting indeed.
Yes.
All right. So JLP for Jamaica is making his request known. No APO, please.
Yes.
Right? We'll just take
Okay.
that.
Don't want to impact his standing, right?
Right. That's a committed shareholder there.
I understand why it has to be said.
Yes. So
Limitless. I agree with you.
Limitless is asking, does IPCL currently have any partnerships with laboratories? If not, would you consider any? And they went on to say why. They said a genetic testing partnership for breast cancer, for instance, could help to increase your mammogram business.
Okay.
Right, so you can go ahead and respond to the question.
Yes, we are exploring partnerships like that for 33 LMR and actually for our Utrecht location. So that's what I would say now. The work is very early in that area, but we are thinking along those lines as well. Yeah.
Okay, great. And the chat is saying that the IPCL baby should get free scans for life.
I know, right? Oh gosh.
So Limitless again, they're asking, will we see an acquisition this year?
Boy, my board mentor would actually, I don't know what she'd do to me if I answer that question. What I will say is that any major announcement in keeping with the rules for junior market entities will be disclosed at the appropriate time. But remember that we're focused on inorganic growth opportunities.
That's correct. Well done. I think she'll be okay with that one. And is there any plan, or do you have any plans to capitalize on medical tourism?
To some extent, not in a full-fledged medical tourism way now, but we do have patients that fly in from the Turks and Caicos, that fly in from Cayman, etc., to do things with us. And we actually offer services to quite a few of the hotels for their guests who may need to do scans. And we do have guests coming from the hotels to do scans at least every month. But a full-fledged medical tourism strategy, we have it as one of the things on our strategic plan, but I won't say it's something that we are actively pursuing now, as we were doing the other things first, the inorganic growth, which also, if we think about it from our shareholders' perspective, that will immediately add revenue once that the acquisition is able to more than pay for itself and contribute. So that's also a strategy as I think about it, will help to grow our revenue and ensure that we're using the capacity that we have, or any new capacity added. So we have it there, but that's not the immediate focus. We want to get some other things done first, and then we build that out.
Awesome. And our final question comes from, well, as it is right now, our final question is from JLP for Jamaica. And he's asking, are we still paying rent or lease for that location? And this question came in when we were speaking about 129 Pro. So I take it.
Oh, no, we own we own that location. We own 129 Pro.
I think you'll be happy to hear that one. That it is owned by the company. So again, thank you so much, Keisha, for availing yourself for the questions. I will hand over to you to close out with the closing remarks to your shareholders.
Sure. Thank you, Renee. So I will end how I started. It's a new year with new possibilities. Change is inevitable. It's the one thing we can't control. The thing that is important is that we plan for any change that we see on the horizon. The purchase of IPCL, I think our shareholders will say that what we promised to deliver in our prospectus, we have delivered and proven that we're a company that's operating with good governance and full disclosure to our shareholders. This is a company that you're going to have long-term value. Our current plans on the horizon to cement ourselves in a permanent location at 33 LMR, to explore and pick the best inorganic growth opportunities, and to build out in some new modalities that have relevance and long-term growth perspectives, such as interventional radiology, should give you the comfort to know that the value that we're building is going to give return to our shareholders, not only in the short and medium term, but in the long term. We do know that in Q2, you may have been a little bit concerned based on our results, but it is easy to pinpoint what caused it, and I think we are addressing that. We are committed to delivering the best diagnostic imaging service in Jamaica and to ensure that our contribution to healthcare is meaningful and significant, so that the Apex Radiology brand is a long-standing brand, not only for today, but for tomorrow, and that the referring doctors see us as the choice for imaging services in Jamaica. A lot of plans are there for the future. We're excited to share them with you, and we invite you to continue to partner with us for this journey. And for any other potential shareholders listening, this is a company in which you will be well pleased. So I thank you for the opportunity to share our plans, and we look forward to telling you more at our AGM, which will be coming soon. Thank you. Blessings for the rest of your week.
At Apex Radiology, we understand the importance of your health. With our state-of-the-art mammogram services, we extend our promise in offering the highest quality care. Don't wait. Schedule your mammogram today with a 10% discount for the month of October.